is here! Storm, earth, and fire, heed my call.
Bring the glory of thunder to the battlefield and, dude, Elemental is just so cool. Today I will make it easy for you to understand, give you a few quick builds and send you out into the world to blast and zap and make some noise. Both hero talents will be good for Elemental and will give you some gameplay variety you can enjoy. In dungeons, you'll be playing this build focused on Stormbringer. The main gameplay mechanic of this, together with the tier set, is to launch tempests that give you a lot of instant chain lightnings for a lot of resources gained that then have a chance to proc ascendance for you, further fueled by your primordial wave that chunks a lot of haste into your rotation. The gameplay is super proc heavy and incredibly addicting with levels of dopamine unsafe for the average gamer. Raids will be a bit more chill with this build and general farcier gameplay. It will focus more on lava bursts and ancestors summoned from your primordial wave and ancestral swiftness. You'll also have the liquid magma totem to keep up flame shocks and even spread them on fights with adds or the cleave council fight soul hunters. Lastly, for open world and delve grinding, use this build instead. It's very similar to the raid build, playing farcier since it's more reliable for chill play. It gives you the tools of on-demand damage with the ancestors on a 30-second cooldown, while also having big single target for world bosses, delve bosses, and super rares. The builds are all linked in the description and you can copy and paste them in your talent loadout quick so you can go and play already. Additionally, if you want to go deeper into the spec with more tips and advanced builds, check out Stormy's guide on Icy-Veins. We will keep the video simple and approachable, but that doesn't mean there isn't more to learn about the spec. Elemental Shaman has a few quirks you need to be aware of when playing it, and I will tell you all about them after I shout out our patrons who are making these videos possible. Patreon.com/Marcelian&Flame is the main supporter of the class guide, and if you want to check out what other benefits patrons get, the link is in the description. The general gameplay revolves around you building Maelstrom with Flame Shock, Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning primarily. Coincidentally, these also are your highest sources of damage, but that doesn't mean they take priority over you spending the Maelstrom on Earth Shock, Elemental Blast, and Earthquake, depending on your build. Your Lava Bursts will get resets from your Flame Shock damage ticks and will be instant to cast. Lava Burst also activates a core buff for your class called Master of the Elements. This will make your next nature, frost, or physical spell deal more damage. You'll want to use this on more important spells like your Spenders or your Empowered Stormkeeper casts. Speaking of, Stormkeeper is a short cooldown spell that makes your next 2 Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightnings instant and deal way more damage. This season, Primordial Wave takes on a much bigger role. What this spell does is to blast all of the enemies that have a Flame Shock on them and give you a buff of haste per target hit. Flame Shock can only be on up to 6 targets at a time, so don't worry too much about it, since your Magma Totem also applies it to 3 outside of the one that you already have it on, which is going to happen in raids, and there are almost no situations where you are fighting more than 4 important targets, and even if that is true, you can manually cast another Flame Shock to have 5 up if needed. You will also have a talent that makes it so when you consume Maelstrom, you will pop Ascendance, your main offensive cooldown. When this happens, you launch 6 Flame Shocks at enemies if there are 6 or more present, and a Lava Burst on all of them, so really this will be your main source of spreading Flame Shock in most scenarios. After this, you would use your Primordial Wave to capitalize on its haste buff. Ascendance will also be a separate button you will press when it's available. Lastly, your other offensive cooldown will be your Storm Elemental, which sadly is more there to make everything else stronger. You might want to hold on to it to cast it for every Ascendance, but outside of that, you won't pay it too much mind. When you open in single target, that is in raid fights, you want to chuck your Storm Elemental 4 to 5 seconds before the pull, then get your Stormkeeper ready, cast your Lava Burst, and then instantly put down your Liquid Magma Totem. Follow this up with Ancestral Swiftness and Primordial Wave. This is when you will use Ascendance, cast another Lava Burst, then go to your regular rotation. The most important things you want to consider for your rotation is to not let your big offensive cooldowns sit unused. Whenever Storm Elemental and Ascendants are up, use them as soon as you can. Same goes for Stormkeeper. Because you will be playing Farseer in raids, you will also want to make sure your Ancestral Swiftness is used as soon as it comes off cooldown, which is the same length as the Primordial Wave cooldown. Because they both have a 30 seconds downtime, you will want to pair them up every time. Primordial Wave will hit your targets with Flame Shock on and give you a haste buff. Since you will be using your Liquid Magma totem in raids to apply Flame Shock, you should use the totem always before your Primordial Wave becomes available. Additionally, Ancestral Swiftness is your main DPS engine from your tier set and hero talent, so it would make sense to have all of these out at the same time for a bigger burst. Make sure you never cap on your Maelstrom resource by casting Earth Shock. During your rotation, you will get Ice Fury procs, and you want to always cast a Lava Burst before pressing your Ice Fury. You have a talent that makes it so that if you cast Ice Fury and then a Fire spell and a Nature spell, not necessarily in this order, you will also launch an Elemental Blast on your target. Because of how projectile spells work, your Lava Burst that you cast before your Ice Fury lands on your target after the Ice Fury, since it travels slower, presumably if you cast them at the same time, making it contribute to the Elemental Blast combo. Once you fire Lightning Bolt as well, your Elemental Blast is launched. Also, your Lava Burst makes your next Nature Frost or physical spell do more damage, and you want to ideally use this on your Earth Shocks and your Stormkeeper infused Lightning Bolts like I mentioned earlier in the video. If everything is unavailable and you have recently casted an Ice Fury, you can now cast your Empowered Frost Shocks as it deals more damage than just your basic spells. Otherwise, use Lightning Bolts as fillers, and if you need to dodge mechanics and cannot physically cast a spell, use your Flame Shocks and regular Frost Shocks to fill in the gaps. Similarly to single target, your AoE rotation wants to make sure your big cooldowns are always casted as they become available. Try to hold on to Storm Elemental for Ascendant since their regular cooldowns do not sync properly. Add the Stormkeeper as well, and make sure you always have a Stormkeeper ready for your Ascendants. Ideally cast it before you activate Ascendants. Your next most important thing if you are playing the talents we have recommended is to cast Elemental Blast for the Echoes of the Great Sundering buff. This buff comes from your capstone and it makes your next Earthquake way stronger. Your dungeon playstyle will turn into a weave of Elemental Blasts into Earthquakes as far as your resource spenders are concerned. Never cast two of the same spender in a row. Once you took care of your spenders, you can look to cast your Tempest should you have a charge available. After this, use Chain Lightning as your most important ability next in the priority list. If there is nothing else to do, fill in with Flame Shocks in low target AoE, Ice Furies, Ice Fury Empowered Frost Shocks, and Instant Lava Bursts. Also in AoE, you want to keep Primordial Wave for whenever you have Ascendance or an Ascendance proc, since either one puts out a bunch of Flame Shocks to fuel your next Primordial Wave. You can also catch me attempt to play Elemental and likely fail live on twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame. We stream almost daily and do dungeons and raids with viewers, so come in and say hi, and maybe you have an Elemental Shaman question we can answer together. As a shaman, you have totems for so many scenarios. I recommend you go to your talents and type in totem in your search box. Not all of these are actual totems, but some synergies as well. You won't be able to use all of them at the same time or even want to, but it's good to know you have these options and what they do so you can have a tool to deal with in all situations. The notable ones start with Poison Cleansing Totem and Earth Grasp Totem, which we included in your Mythic Plus build because that's where they will be the most useful. Poison Cleansing Totem does exactly what it sounds like, and it will be a godsend in dungeons like Arakara. Actually, past that dungeon, there aren't many or any other uses for it that I can think of. Earth Grasp, though, has more applications that even extend to the raid. Dungeons like Arakara still benefit from it by locking down the spider ads on the first boss enough to set up a stun totem, people to hop onto them, you to build some earthquakes under them, and so on. Even better will be in Gambit, where Murlocs have a habit of running into other packs and pulling more Murlocs. One thing I also need to work on is Totemic Recall. This nifty little button clears the cooldown on your most recent totem. Anything that's not Stone Bulwark Totem, which is a laughably poor defensive, and it would just be way better if you could cast it more, but You will use Totemic Recall after every Poison Cleansing Totem or Earth Grasp if you need these more, otherwise it works on your Wind Rush Totem and Stun Totems as well. You could consider Liquid Magma Totem here, but the purpose of this one is to spread Flame Shock, and you only want this when Primordial Wave is available, which is every 30 seconds. Magma Totem has 24 seconds cooldown, so 99% of the time, Totemic Recall would be wasted on it, but the option remains. Don't forget that for both playstyles, Stormbringer in particular and Tempest respectively will benefit from Nature's Swiftness to make your big castable spells instant. It adds to your mobility since most of your damage will come from you hard casting spells. Spiritwalker's Grace helps with this of course, but using your instant spells will add a lot of mobility to your playstyle. For all the best gearing options, you will want to go to raidbots.com and sim your character. We have videos on our channel if you need help with that. Otherwise, aim for the highest intellect items possible, which usually translates into the highest item level. After this, focus on mastery, haste, with versatility and crit being the lowest in terms of priority. Your tier set will adapt to your hero talent, and it is kind of important to know what they do since, as opposed to other classes, they're not entirely passive and forgettable. Farseer, for instance, makes your ancestors spawned by Ancestral Swiftness way stronger, but at the same time, buff your own damage by 25% for 8 seconds. This means that once you get one out this way, you really want to pump hard in those 8 seconds and not waste them. Stormbringer gives you a bunch of predictable procs that you need a weak aura to track. To make it simple, try not to stay on 2 Tempest procs for very long. Ascendants will guarantee give you 1 charge of Tempest while making them stronger. I'm also guilty of stacking 2 Tempests and then going into Ascendant since this used to be a good thing last season, I recall, but now I want to be more mindful about it since I am wasting important damage. If you want to dive deeper into min-maxing your gameplay, make sure you check out Stormy's guide on Icy-Veins, but also hop into the Shaman Discord. There you will be able to chat with big boy shamans that can help you with more advanced information. Also, you can check our Resto Shaman guide here since right now this is the most played Mythic Plus spec for a good reason. If you ever get bored of waiting in queues, having this under your belt can save you looking for a healer for your group and so much time.